Hello everybody and welcome to KTTV. This is the first test. In fact, it's the first broadcast, as it were. It's a recording, but it's the first broadcast of what will become the new studio and media center within the KT Tools Working Museum. Basically today, what I'm doing is I'm testing out the new camera, which is the Mevo Plus. Which is quite a unique camera as far as I can see from research. It is one camera, and it's just one tiny little camera, and that camera can take the place of up to 9 camera positions. So you can set them up and play around with them, edit, pan, zoom, focus. And that's what I'm doing today. That's principally why I'm here. But I thought I'd start off with just explaining how or why KT Tools and KTTV had come about, because some people know and others don't. When my sister was in her 30s, she died suddenly of a heart attack, and as a memorial at the time, I'm not one of these people to go planting trees and even visiting memorial stones and flowers and that sort of thing. I wanted to do something that would basically allow me to give her a memorial that I would like to see, and also it gave me a focus at the time. So I set up KT Productions, and KT Productions started out as photography. It was was a semi-pro photographer at one time. And I like to take. At the time, it was film, but then it came on to digital at the time. At the start of KT photography, and expanded from there. From that, came along KT guitars, and I made some guitars for my son and other people. And then following that, KT Tools emerged, and it's kind of stayed around to the point now where, through YouTube, Instagram, and particularly Unplugged Woodworker group on Facebook, I'm finding an audience for the things that I'm interested in. I'm focusing on. These can be at both ends of the spectrum. So I principally is 18th century tools, early 19th century. But also very modern tools, and some people who are starting out using the technology and the techniques that was around back in the 18th century, but are doing it today. And that really is the focus. It's the focus of making awareness of a period of time that I believe art and form were at their very highest. So opening the museum, it's a museum in as much as there are a lot of tools and artifacts that come from that period, but it's very much not a dusty type of museum with glass cabinets that you go and visit and look at, can't touch. Quite the opposite. It is very much a working museum, hence the title. Artifacts may be 200 to 300 years old, but are sharp, they're usable, and people can come and touch them, children, adults alike. And I will attempt to show them how they were used, so that they can gain insight into some of the most miraculous pieces of art that England has created. And I have some continental and American tools, but it's mostly focused on the 18th century tool making in the UK. The principal part of that are wood planes, because they fascinate me. But I do have other tools from that period, so they're also going to be available. Within the working museum, as I say, there's a studio and a media center. It comprises 2 cabins. So the larger of the 2 cabins, which is going to be built in the spring, is going to be the actual museum, if you like. That's where the tools are stored. That's where the bench is going to be, where people can come and play. added to that is this building, which is currently in a temporary location, and will be moved. Excuse that. You know, you never leave your phone on it. I mean, you know what I mean. It's currently in a temporary location, and it will be reinstalled, not demolished, deconstructed, if you like, and reconstructed on the new site, and joined up with the working museum. That will house the comfortable area, I call it. There will be seating, there will be a coffee machine, and there will be camera gear and sound gear, and network feeds on Ethernet, which allow me to connect to the network at an adequate speed to do live streaming. That's the plan. It's been in plan for probably 3 or 4 years now, and you know, it's a long road, not helped by my ill health, but I'm getting somewhere this year. I think building this building put something tangible in front of me and allowed me to grow on that. So it's kind of like a railway train. It's completely on its way now, and there's virtually no stopping it. So today the plan was to do some work with the Mevo Plus, and the main part of the Mevo Plus, the actual camera itself, is okay. It's high quality, but it's very simple. It's just a 4K ultra high definition. I think it's a 12 or 13 mega pixel Sony chip, and it's got a wide high quality lens, 150 degrees field of view. So that field of view is what you start out with, and it's actually this field of view. This is what the camera is actually seeing. The editing suite is the intelligent part between the camera and the app on a tablet, because it allows you to set up, as I say, up to 9 different camera positions, which helps immensely because you don't need 9 cameramen, or you don't need a cameraman that's moving around. You set it up and it automatically do that for you. It has some other features. It can pan, it can zoom, obviously, and also it can follow faces and auto track them. From this point, this picture here, you can see I can go back to the original shot, which is my cropped in shot, or I can show you the microphone. I can switch over to Federico's cabinet over here, looking at Douglas's advice down on the floor there, and up on the finally up on the cabinet, which is where I'm creating. Okay, it's a modern version of a display cabinet, workplace, etc., etc. That will it allows me to play with the old tools that I've got in creating certain things like moldings, and just use them to put on a modern carcass. That's the best way I've thought of creating a usable, functional display area, or backdrop, if you like, that has got a feel of that period, and also at the same time allow me to build it and to get to use those tools to create what they would have created back then. As I say, today is to test the sound and the video. So I'm totally new at this. So please, this is probably about the second time that I've used it. The first was brilliant, except I completely forgot to connect the sound up to the tablet correctly. And all I got was the sound from the camera, which, as you can see, as I mentioned, is way back here. In the last video, we had a co-presenter sitting here, who was Alfie. it's got later, it's got darker, and it's got colder, and he's gone inside to sit on the couch with his Daddy James, and I don't blame him particularly. So maybe next time, I'm sure that he will be around for most of the certainly the spring and the summer. But for the winter, he's a bit like his dad. We're a bit of a surfer dudes, and we like the beach and we like the tropics. And you know, England has its benefits, but one of them isn't the weather. So I'll just give you an overview and allow me to practice playing with the zoom and the pan and fade and so on and so forth. If I wanted to go over to, for instance, over to Federico's cabinet, but I wanted to do it slowly, fast, I would just move it like that. And then slowly pan it back to me. And that allows me to do that straight from the tablet. Now, the thing is, this will be hidden from view, as would the microphone and so on and so forth. Ordinarily, you see that on news broadcasts, you see the screen is hidden, or their control area is hidden behind a valance, as it were, and you don't actually see what's going on. But for this exercise, I kind of like to show you exactly what's going on this tablet. Don't know how well this will come out, but you can see the whole studio area and little squares where I can touch to either jump to or pan to. I can zoom in and I can zoom out, so hopefully this will slowly zoom out, and it allows me to let's do a zoom back in again, a pinch if you were. And I can move around the room really slowly. Okay. Let's as I say, I'm not very good at this. That's there. Now, if I move around the room slowly, this should go from where it was to where it is pretty slowly, via me, as it were. And that seems to be working. Okay. Obviously, it's going to take a fair amount of playing around and getting used to, and also finding the right place to put the main camera. It wouldn't ordinarily be that far away from me. You would, let me just move this up a little bit. You would see me in a lot more close up, or if I was in an interview situation, the person sitting next to me on the chair would also have a camera position set up on the editing suite, and I would be able to, let's just say they were here, I would be able to flick backwards and forwards from me to them as the interview progressed. You can set it up so if they speak or wave as you do, gesticulate or move and look as if the action is coming from there, you can automatically track that movement. So, but I think this would probably be useful in something like a live band situation, or maybe a presentation where you've got 2 or 3 people on the stage. Somebody may be moving, walking into the scene, and it will follow. It will pick up on that, see the movement, see action. Is that good enough action? Is that better action than I had before? And then it will capture that and then follow it to where it's going. That's really what I think it was designed for: presentations, live bands, that sort of thing, auditorium type stuff. My play area is slightly smaller, so there will be less tight shots. For instance, there's the window up there. I can't really get in much tighter than that. It won't allow me to. It won't allow me to zoom in on something much closer than that. If I was closer to it, it would allow me to do that, and I think that's effectively how it's going to end up being set. This allows me to zoom in on me a bit more now, like that, but that's as far as it will go. So clearly it's important for me to work out where in the studio the main camera is. Now this will cover 90%-ish of all of the camera action. So I can do interviews, I can do one-to-one talking, and to a certain extent I can do use of tools. But for different shots, different shot angles outside of the zone, or coming from that side to this side, I will need another camera, and I believe that eventually what will happen is I'll get 2 or 3 of these Mevo cameras, and they will all be linked together, and you get a studio, a live stream studio app, which is more complicated. I think that's what I will move towards. So it will allow me to not only switch between positions within a camera, a main camera, but it will also allow me to switch between cameras that have different directional aspects. So I can, for instance, have one camera above and be able to cover the whole of the area of the ground and the bench and all the work surfaces, and just select where I am, zoom in on that, and that will allow me to be able to focus attention on what I'm actually doing on a close-up. But these things aren't cheap, so that and also nothing really to do with the cost. It's to do with, I wasn't 100% sure that this technology was either very good, very stable, or fit for purpose, fit for what I wanted to do, both in video and sound quality. Early thoughts are that it is pretty well the mutt's nuts, as we say, or the dogs. But it's always best to try one rather than going out and getting 3 and spending 3 times as much and wasting 3 times as much if it's not what you need. There might be a hybrid situation that I find is actually better. I might find that having a GoPro or another 4K camera as an overhead camera is also feasible, and I can then cut that in on a video mixing into the main feed. That might be a cheaper option because I have already got GoPros, and some of them are getting old now, but their technology is as good as this. This just got more bells and whistles on the Hero 6 than there was on the Hero 4, but you can pick them up for next to nothing. So the idea is to possibly use some of those and mix them in. I think that's not as an integrated solution to what I want to do, but it's certainly food for thought initially. So where are we going from here? We're setting up a temporary workshop. There will be, as we learn, feeds from on YouTube. Necessarily, they're not going to be live at the moment. And the reason for that is I don't have a network connection down here. I haven't installed that yet. I have got the cable. It's in the house. The router is in the house and the fiber is in there. And that needs to be routed down to this temporary position. But I'm not going to do that permanently because this building is not going to be here all the time. So what I'm going to do is run it temporarily using an armored cable, and hopefully we should be able to get some live streaming done. But also the second and probably more important reason why there's going to be a slight delay in getting it all finished is because I'm actually spending most of my time at the moment building this studio, and also in the new year, in the spring, I will also be spending a vast amount of time building the new workshop, the second cabin, the larger of the two cabins, and that could take all of the summer into the autumn. So it's likely that there will be intermittent live broadcasts as I get testing requirements and so on and so forth. But principally they will be videos like this where I'm just trying out equipment. I may be talking about various parts of the design of the studio, the construction, maybe the lighting. You know, I showed about this sort of microphone. At the moment, it's not set up. I'm working on a lapel mic. These will be used for interviews. It may be, but they do restrict you because you're connected. I mean, it's all tucked in, but you're connected to the to a fixed position or to you know, a certain distance, and they're not really conducive to walking around because you get lots of noise. So I had forgotten there to switch back to me, so you just heard me talking and bashing around. But there is a fairly wide view point. It goes way over in the corner here. I can move about the camera out quite fast or quite slowly. And let's just do a pan from here right across me. Let's stop there and go up to there and see what happens. Now, theoretically, this should start moving across. I know you can't do a V-shape move. It will only pan across as the crow flies. So if I want to come back to me, it will come back to me. But if I go round the houses, it won't it won't follow me. I'm sure there must be some sort of way of doing this. I can do loads of things. I can go instant changes. I can flip. It's quite easy. But at the moment I haven't got a clue how the nuances, the more technically complex things that need doing. So bear with me on that. Anyway, that's all we have today. We've run for 22 minutes and run up 12 gigs of memory. Since it's only a 16 gig card, I think we're nearly running out of SD storage. But that's it for the day. Hopefully that's been fun to catch up on where I'm at and where I'm going. Tomorrow I will be doing a few things, but nothing to do with this. And we were back in the studio on Monday. Hopefully the weather's nice as it was today, and it's going to get better and better ever, you know, from now on. And I hope when it all goes, and follow me during the build, because it's all part of what we're doing together. And if anybody can come up with better ideas about sound and video and things like that, if that's what you do as a hobby or as your day job, shout out. Give me some feedback, because that's what I would love to know. This technology, I'm aware of it, but it's you know, it's very difficult to keep abreast of the technology of electronic equipment when it is moving so fast. So anybody that's in the profession and got their finger on the pulse, you know, if you've got some suggestions, constructive criticism, please let me know. But for now, that's all, folks, and I'm going to go in and get a coffee because I'm freezing right now. I forgot to switch the heating on. Anyway, goodbye. See you later.